All right, let's dive into something pretty wild today. We're going on a journey into the most complex thing in the entire known universe, and it's sitting right inside your head. We're going to explore this radical idea, based on the work of neuroscientist David Eagleman, that everything you are, your thoughts, your feelings, your whole sense of identity, it's all just a story being told by your brain.
But seriously, just for a second, think about it. Who is the you that's hearing my voice right now? Do you think of yourself as a soul, a consciousness, maybe a tiny little person sitting at a control panel behind your eyes? Well, neuroscience has an answer that is so much weirder, and honestly, so much more amazing than you might think.
So, here it is. This is the big idea that changes everything. What Eagleman is saying is that everything that makes you, you, all your memories, your personality, your dreams, it's not just stored in your brain like files on a computer, it is the brain. It's the electricity and chemistry firing between your neurons. There is no you without that activity. And that means if we really want to understand ourselves, we have to understand this incredible 3-pound universe in our skulls. So where do we even begin a journey like that? Well, we're going to start with the world out there. Or, more accurately, the world your brain tells you is out there. Because as you're about to see, those two things, they're not the same thing at all.
I know. This sounds like something out of the Matrix, right? But it's one of the most fundamental truths in neuroscience. You don't actually experience the world as it truly is. Your eyes, your ears, your skin, they're just collecting raw data, little bits of information like light waves and air vibrations. And it's your brain, locked away in total darkness, that takes all that meaningless static and somehow weaves it into the rich, detailed, colorful world you call reality. Your brain is basically a master storyteller, and your reality, it's its greatest story.
So how on earth does it pull off a trick like that? Well, it uses a process called predictive coding. The best way to think about it is that your brain is always trying to be one step ahead. It's constantly making predictions or guesses about what it's going to see and hear next, all based on your past experiences. When the real sensory information comes in, the brain just checks. Does this match my prediction? If it does, you barely even notice it. It's only when there's a surprise, when reality doesn't match the prediction, that your brain really pays attention. And that's exactly why optical illusions work. They perfectly exploit that gap between your brain's guess and what's actually there.
Okay, so if our whole experience of the world is basically a story our brain tells us, what about the main character in that story? You know, the you that makes decisions and takes action. We're in charge, right? We're in the driver's seat. Well, when we look at the neuroscience of decision-making, things get a lot more complicated.
And this is where it gets really, really strange. It turns out that this huge, hidden, unconscious part of your brain is running most of the show, making decisions and kicking off actions long before you are even aware of it. I mean, there have been these groundbreaking experiments that show the brain activity for a simple action, like deciding to lift your finger, can be seen before you consciously feel like you've made the decision. It's like your conscious mind is the very last one to get the memo about what your body's already doing.
So if your conscious mind isn't the CEO, what is it? What's its job? David Eagleman has this brilliant analogy. He says the conscious mind is like a press secretary. The rest of the brain, the unconscious part, makes a decision and acts. Then your conscious mind steps up to the podium and confidently explains why that decision was made, creating this really neat, logical story that makes it seem like it was in control the whole time. It's an incredible illusion that gives us that feeling of, I'm meant to do that.
And when you do make a decision, it's not some single unified act. It's way more like a tug-of-war happening between different networks in your brain. You've got the rational system, the planner, the part that's like, yeah, we should probably save for retirement. But then you've got this emotional, impulsive system that's screaming, but I want that shiny new phone right now. Whichever network wins that battle, well, that's the decision you make.
Okay, let's just recap for a second. Our reality is a construction. Our sense of control is mostly an illusion. So what does that say about ourself? Who is the I that's experiencing all this? Is there even a solid me at the center of it all? This is where the story of you gets really fascinating.
Some of the most unbelievable insights we have about the self actually come from this very rare group of people, split-brain patients. See, to treat really severe epilepsy, sometimes surgeons have to sever the connection between the two halves of the brain. And the result is absolutely mind-boggling. It's like you suddenly have two separate minds, two independent consciousnesses living inside the same skull.
So check this out. In one famous experiment, scientists showed a word just to the patient's right brain. The left hand, which is controlled by the right brain, then picked up a related object. But when the patient was asked, "Why did you pick that up?" their left brain, which controls speech and never saw the word, had no clue. But, and this is the incredible part, instead of just saying, "I don't know," it instantly made up a logical-sounding story to explain the action. This shows us something profound. There's a part of our brain, a storyteller, that is constantly working to weave everything our brain does into a single, coherent narrative. It creates the feeling of a unified self.
But this story of who you are, it's not a solo act, it's a massive collaboration. Who you are isn't just a product of what's happening inside your own brain. It's also shaped by the brains of everyone around you. We're just not wired for isolation. We are fundamentally wired for connection.
Yeah, our brains are literally built to be social. We have these special brain cells called mirror neurons, and they do something amazing. They don't just fire when we do something, they also fire when we see someone else do that same thing. It's the neural basis for empathy. It's what lets us feel what others are feeling. It's why you physically cringe when you see someone get hurt. It means your sense of self isn't just a monologue happening in your head, it's a constant dialogue with the people in your life. In a very real way, we're all made of each other.
So, we've kind of deconstructed the self. We've seen it's a story, a narrative, written by our brains and shaped by our connections. But that's not the end of the story. Not at all. It's really the beginning of a whole new chapter, one where we might actually have the power to redefine what it even means to be human.
And here's maybe the most hopeful, most empowering part of this whole thing. Your brain is not set in stone. It's this dynamic, constantly changing work of art. The process is called neuroplasticity. Every single conversation you have, every book you read, every new thing you learn, all of it physically rewires your brain. And that means you are not a finished product. You are a work in progress. The story of you is still being written every single day, and you are holding the pen.
And that leads us to one last absolutely massive question. If we are our brains, and our brains are constantly changing, what happens when we start actively merging our minds with technology? What does it even mean to be you in a future where our thoughts could be enhanced or our memories downloaded?
Technology like brain-computer interfaces, advanced AI, this isn't just the next cool gadget. This is potentially the next step in our evolution as a species. It holds the potential to expand our minds, to fundamentally reshape our sense of self. This whole journey into the brain, it's not an end, it's a beginning. It's an invitation to a future where the very boundaries of what it means to be human are being completely redrawn. The story of you is really just getting started. In the next chapter, it's going to be the most extraordinary one yet.